This is Late Night Health. This is the radio show that cares about the most important part of your life, your health. During the next hour, the insane Daryl Wayne and I are going to take a look at a couple of things that touch each and every one of us. During the second part of our show, we're going to talk about a healthcare consultant and how AI is going to help in the consulting industry in healthcare. There's been a lot of controversy about AI in the last 2 weeks. Apparently, some people think that AI is the beginning of Armageddon. We'll find out about that maybe as well. During this first part of our show, we have I know she's going to be a new friend. Her name is Dr. Gail Gazelle. She's an assistant professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School. She's a master certified coach for physicians and the author of her upcoming book, Mindful MD, 6 Ways Mindfulness Restores Your Autonomy and Cures Healthcare Burnout. Dr. Gazelle, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
I've got to just pick on one word in your title. How do you restore autonomy to a physician who's being really manipulated and controlled by an $18 an hour insurance adjuster person?
Great question, Mark. Wonderful place to start. So yes, things are rocky in healthcare, without a doubt. Insurance companies, big corporations rule the roost. And doctors are not at the top of the totem pole. That is for sure in healthcare. And much external autonomy has been taken away from physicians, really from everybody working in the healthcare ecosystem as a result of corporatization of medicine and emphasis on the bottom line. And yet, there is a type of autonomy that we don't have to give over to a broken and highly dysfunctional healthcare system. And that's the autonomy over ourselves, the autonomy over how we respond to the difficulties that we face, the autonomy over our own thought processes and emotions, and really the fundamental autonomy that we all have about how we interact with the difficulties that we face, whether we're a patient with a bad diagnosis, whether we are a human being struggling in the modern American complicated non-healthcare economy, and equally for doctors and nurses and all healthcare professionals. So that's really what I and my book, Mindful MD, are all about. How do you restore that autonomy when definitely a lot of external autonomy has been wrested?
I've talked to a lot of doctors, obviously, both NDs and MDs and chiropractors, a wide variety of healthcare practitioners. And they all tell me the same thing, each and every one of them, that had they had another choice, they would have done law, they would have become a fire ranger in a remote part of the country, anything but in the healthcare system. Do you see that?
I do see that. And what's really interesting about that, Mark, is the mind gets caught in a lot of comparisons. Oh, I'd be happy if I became a fireman, if I became a librarian. I'd be happy if I got out of the practice of medicine. And I cover that in my book, Mindful MD, because it's really interesting. How do we know we'd be happy doing these other things? Our minds spin a lot of stories. Like a lot of physicians say, well, I can't be happy in the modern healthcare environment. I have to retire. I'll be happy when I retire. And yet, if they think back over their own careers, often medical students say, well, I'll be happy when I finish med school. Residents say, oh, I'll be happy when I become a full-fledged doctor, i.e. an attending. And then attendings get there and they're not happy. So it's interesting because our minds spin these stories about what we need to be happy. And yet, what I'm here to say is that each and every one of your listeners, wherever they are in healthcare, a patient, an ND, an MD, a nurse, a DO, whoever they are, they don't have to give over their happiness to a broken system. They can be happy today.
And patients too, because it works.
Patients too. Yes, very definitely, without a doubt. Yep.
Right. I think of dating. I haven't dated in what seems like centuries. The grass is greener kind of a thing, and that's what you've just basically said. Gee, if my boyfriend was 6'2" instead of 5'8", or my girlfriend was blonde instead of brunette, um, we all do that. It's something that our minds all do. But those who become doctors tend to be, in my opinion, at the top of the smart list. I mean, I don't know that I want to go to a physician who graduated at the bottom of his or her class, right?
Totally with you. But what's really interesting is there are different kinds of smart. And we learn in our training as physicians that it's all about the cognition. It's all about intellect, which is, of course, critically important. We want that in our physicians. We want that in anybody that we seek healthcare from. And yet, we don't really learn how to be the master of our minds. We often can be the captive. And our minds, as you just demonstrated about dating, you kind of can fill in the blanks. There are all kinds of things that our minds generate that are not true. And what I really find interesting is there's so much dysfunction in healthcare. The demands on physicians, nurses, others is mighty. But on top of all those demands is the busy mind comparing, the busy mind accusing us of not being as good as other people, because a lot of physicians walk around telling themselves that. The busy mind is telling us we can't be happy now. Something external to us has to change. And add that to the physical demands of having too many patients to see, too many insurance companies to haggle with, et cetera, et cetera. And it is really the death of us. So, what I really am all about is, well, which parts of this can you control? Which parts? Can you control what's going on in the healthcare industry? Can you control the fact that the insurance companies very tragically rule the roost? And most physicians really are not fools. They say automatically, no, sadly, I can't control that. So I'm here to say, let's focus on the part of this that you can control, which is you, your mind, and your reactions to the difficulties you face.
A
And
lot
that's
of
where we can really regain our autonomy.
And a lot of physicians are saying to hell with insurance companies and going into specialized practices, right? Concierge medicine. You pay X number of dollars a year, and if you have a splinter, which I do right now, by the way, I don't know if you could remove it from there or not. You are an internist and a hospice doctor, and I'm a big, I'm a big baby. Anyway, my point is that I don't even know what my point is because I was going for a joke. Um, our guest is Dr. Gail Gazelle. She is an internist and hospice physician, helping people make the transition. I think you said was a good part of your career.
I was a hospice physician for most of my career. Now I work as a career coach for other physicians and physician leaders, and I'm also an author with my forthcoming book, Mindful MD.
And you still teaching?
I teach at Harvard Medical School, yes, and
I've heard of it. I have heard of that place.
I'm here
Um,
to help physicians and physicians in training experience more well-being in their journey, because that's what everybody in healthcare deserves, patients and providers alike.
you realize that that's a holistic approach.
I hope it's a holistic approach. Yes, indeed.
Well, a lot of doctors don't like that word.
I think it's a really important word. We're whole people, and we have to really look at the whole person. Gone are the days when, hopefully, gone are the days when the physician just says, you must do this. And if you don't do that, something bad is going to happen. We've learned that we need to partner with patients. We need to listen carefully. We need to hear what's most deeply important to them, because how else can we really help them on their journey to wellness? So, I'm hoping that gone are the days when we had that kind of non-holistic approach, because it really doesn't serve patients, and I don't think it serves us either.
Our guest is Dr. Gail Gazelle. She's got a new book. When does it come out?
June 14th, but it's
June
available
14th.
now. You can actually get a free chapter at gailgazelle.com/mindful MD.
Gotcha. We'll make note of that. Name of the book is Mindful MD: 6 Ways Mindfulness restores your autonomy and cures healthcare burnout. I'm Mark Allen, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. Don't go away. We have more coming up with Dr. Gale as Late Night Health continues. Late Night Health is proud of our partnership with the EBC, the Evolutionary Business Council. Check them out at ebcouncil.com.
You're listening to Late Night Health with Mark Allen. The show continues in a moment.
Recently, I met Jacqueline from Bright here in Los Angeles. She gave me a hearing exam and then showed me how to hear again with the new Signia Pure Series hearing aids, and she can give you your life back too. I hear birds chirping, birds cooing, and even my wife. They easily connect to my smartphone. The Signia hearing aids are amazing, and with the charge and go, I don't have to fiddle with batteries and hear all day long. Not hearing is frustrating for you and your family. I know you don't have a problem, but trust me, call Bright Here now for a free hearing exam, a $125 value, yours free, just for making an appointment now. There are offices throughout the Los Angeles area. Call Bright Here now at 323-424-7100. That's 323-424-7100 for a free hearing exam. There's no obligation. Call now, 323-424-7100, or visit them on the web at brighthere.com.
If you're listening to Late Night Health right now, you're part of the growing target of baby boomers we're serving. Hi, I'm Daryl Wayne, producer of Late Night Health, inviting you to join the Late Night Health family. If you have any business targeting the growing boomer market, Late Night Health is the ideal advertising vehicle for you. From vitamins to insurance, alternative health to Western-style medicine, Late Night Health caters to the growing population of those over 40 years old. This vibrant demographic has expendable income to fight aging, purchase travel, take care of aging parents, or just have fun. Find out about the advertising opportunities with Late Night Health. Call us at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308, or email us at info@latenighthealth.com. That's info@latenighthealth.com. Join Late Night Health as we empower people to take charge of their own health care. Call now at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Words are a critical aspect of success. How you get your point across is a crucial part of what makes anything sell. So do it right and hire a writer. Whether it's articles, blog posts, technical writings, website content, product descriptions, or ghostwriting anything from a novel to a nonfiction book about your navel, contact Servet Hassan. If you want it to sell, write it right. Email Servet at servet@servethassan.com.
It's time to tackle a tough topic, one that affects us all. We're talking about sexism in the workplace. The award-winning Identifying the Elephant in the Room series is back and ready to tackle some complicated communications issues again. This spring, we're focusing on critical communication strategies in the face of sexism. Join us as we hear from professionals in the natural products industry who have valuable career lessons to share and real-world experience to discuss from all sides of the elephant. It's time to have an honest and open conversation about the impact of sexism in the workplace and how we can make it better for everyone. Identifying the Elephant in the Room series starts March 16th. Register today at inicibox.vfairs.com. That's INICIBOX.VFAIRS.com and join the conversation to be part of the solution. Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Allen, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. Be sure to join us at latenighthealth.com. There's lots of things happening over there. We will have a photo of Dr. Gale. We'll have a picture of her book up there and some information about what the book is. And I think the book is probably not only good for docs and other healthcare professionals, but it will give an insight to patients as to what doctors are going through. One of the things that I read about the book is that the demands that physicians face are truly sustainable. Studies have revealed that for every hour a physician spends with a patient, they spend 1 to 2 hours on the electronic health record. 2 questions on that. One, that would be at the average of 7 minutes per patient today. That's 8.5 patients an hour. Does that mean that is that for the 1 to 2 hours? Is that for all 7 or 8 patients?
Of course, there's going to be some variation, but I think the bottom line that we need to understand is that it is not sustainable for physicians. What's being asked of them is unrealistic. And while we physicians wanted an electronic health record, we had no idea what we were getting. We had no idea that it would take, thousands of clicks just to order an aspirin. That's really, it's incredible what's going on with the electronic health record.
And if you're in the hospital, that aspirin can cost you $48.
There you go. Yes,
right?
There you go. And the whole thing is really dysfunctional, to say the least. And so what's now called pajama time for physicians is the fact that they have to spend evenings and weekends on the computer catching up with their records, or they're basically going to be told that they're getting an F in charting. So it's really sad because physicians work unbelievably hard. They give their all to their patients. Every single physician out there, dedicated human beings who's, really sacrificed a great deal in the service of caring for others. And yet we're not giving them a sustainable career. We're asking too much. And nobody went to medical school to sit in front of a computer. We went to medical school to help vulnerable human beings. So the equation is not adding up. And really, what's very sad is that the large number of physicians retiring early, saying that they intend to leave the practice of medicine. This is an issue for all of us because we're already having a shortage of physicians, nurses, therapists, technicians, and others. And that shortage is estimated to get significantly worse. So there's something in it for all of us to help preserve healthcare professionals' well-being, because otherwise we're not going to have a healthcare system.
And with the graying of America and the world, as we get older, we need more and more health care.
Without a doubt, yes. And we need able and well physicians to take care of us.
What about the young physician who is literally just starting out? They've been an intern, they've been a resident, they've been an attending, and they go and they decide to go to work for an HMO. Or a PPO. Do they have the same burnout? Because they have all that infrastructure surrounding them. They have staff, and they usually take the 9 to 5, the working at an HMO, because they know they can do a 9 to 5, 3 days, 3 weeks out of the month, and have to be on call 1 week a month, or however it works.
Well, I spend my days coaching physicians who are struggling with burnout. I've had the pleasure of coaching over 500 physicians over the last 12 years. Very sadly, a lot of them are medical residents or very early career physicians. And the level of burnout, even in medical students, residents, and fellows, and newly minted attendings, is significant. And this is really a warning to, I would say, medical schools across the country. There's something that we're doing in the education of these wonderful, smart minds that is actually eroding their well-being before they actually get out and practice. So we have to address that. And in my book, Mindful MD, the first part of the book, the shorter part of the book, is what I call the roots of burnout. There are a lot of things in our training that actually fuel physician burnout even before we get out and practice. So there's a lot that we can control there. There's a lot that we can improve upon.
When somebody decides to become a physician, I know somebody who couldn't decide on his specialty, and he became a urologist rather than a brain surgeon, because urologists potentially can make more money because there are a lot more little tiny things in urology than in the brain. I didn't quite get that, but when you're making that kind of a decision, can that affect burnout as well? I mean, a cardiologist or a cardiovascular surgeon has a lot more pressure, I would think, in keeping a patient alive than the average pediatrician or dermatologist?
This is complicated because the financial incentives are really skewed and many would argue perverse. So I coach someone who I include in my book, who really always wanted to become a pediatrician. And yet, when she was in her training, people looked down on her. Oh, you're so smart. Why would you go into pediatrics when you could go into cardiology or one of the elite surgical professions? And so she actually left her passion of going into pediatrics and picked a different field. Now, that's relevant because I think if she'd picked pediatrics, she might not have experienced the burnout for which she came to me because she wasn't following her dream. Similarly, in the case that you're describing, if somebody goes into urology when they really wanted to go into some other field and they do that because of financial, remuneration, that can also set them up for burnout because then it becomes more of a transaction, what they're doing, but it's not as passion and vision generated. So, that's a challenge. We have to do both. We have to, make ends meet, of course, which most physicians can do. And we also have to do something that really excites us and that's really deeply connected to what we want to be doing on this earth.
Watching medical dramas on TV, you see the residents and even attendings, standing around and they're going, it's slow today. What are we going to do? I want something, they want somebody to come in who's been in some major car crash so that they can go in and do major surgery. Is that real? I mean, there's because it would seem to me that day after day of having those car accidents and people's limbs, thrown all over the street and brains oozing and all that, that after a while, that's just got to be too much.
Levels of burnout are high in emergency medicine. And what a lot of physicians say is, I could only live on all that adrenaline for so long. But as I got into my 40s, 50s, perhaps my 60s, it was exhausting because it's so erratic. And as you're saying, you don't know what's going to come in the door. And so we have to be able to pace individuals, whether they're emergency physicians or ICU nurses or whoever they are in healthcare. They have to be able to take breaks. They have to get some sustenance physically, mentally, emotionally, so that they can kind of run the marathon of their career. That's really what this is. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
And one of the things they could do is they could go on a walking tour of Portugal.
Yes, things that fill their cup. And that is very important because a lot of physicians run on empty and they don't eat breakfast. They don't get enough sleep. They don't get enough exercise because they've been so conditioned to be there for others and not take care of really who their most important patient is, which is themselves. The analogy of the oxygen mask, we have to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of others.
Uh, Gail Gazelle has been our guest, Dr. Gail Gazelle. The name of the book, Mindful MD, 6 Ways Mindfulness Restores Your Autonomy and Cures Healthcare Burnout. Doctor, thank you very much for coming on Late Night Health. We'd love to have you back. So when you've got something we can talk about, maybe we'll talk about hospice and your years with that. I'd love to.
Thank you so much, Mark. Really a pleasure talking with you today.
Thank you. Hold on. I'm Mark Allen along with the insane Daryl Wayne. Coming up, we're going to talk about fractional consulting. We'll find out what the heck that means in just a couple of moments. It's Late Night Health.